To the right of me on your screen.
Hello, folks.
Welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Weekly Narrative. We got a perfectly timed thunderstorm that just rolled into town as soon as the stream started. So I got to warn you guys immediately that all weather control tactics are in place to try and shut the stream down right now. I think
Yep.
they are resorting to some drastic measures to censor us. We're going to get everything situated here, let everyone join the room. Come on in, get some seats, grab the seats, get your popcorn, hot dogs, everything. Come on in. Delaney, how you been?
I've been good. How have you been, Jeremy, besides the, giant storm that's rolling in your neighborhood?
Doing well, doing well. I've been watching a lot of this Biden stuff lately at G7. Have you been seeing any of that?
I've seen like little clips of it on Instagram and on social media, but
That's
I didn't
basically,
watch like
yeah.
the full thing.
That's what I'm kind of referring to, is just like the clips of what he's been up to. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just totally shocked by
Him
that.
kind of like just him just trying to like put two sentences together and just kind of fumbling through it and then just almost looking like he's dying when he leaves the stage. Just the normal stuff for Biden administration.
It's going to be fun. We got Bill as first. Congratulations to Bill for being the first in the YouTube stream. For those of you listening on stereo, we are live on youtube.com/weekly narrative as well. If you'd like to view the video, see all of the visuals. And we got Synergy in chat. Dave, MCL, what's going on, guys? Dari, PJ Fan, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. Hey, Holly.
Hi, Holly. How are you today?
As you guys can see from the title of the stream, we're gonna be briefly touching on the Biden crashing and burning at G7 and making America look like a joke, to use the anti-Trumpers terminology. Anyway, yeah, make sure you hit the like
Yeah.
button. Hit the like button. Good suggestion, PJ Fan. We're gonna be talking
Yeah, always hit the
about.
like button.
Yep, always. We're gonna be talking about society continuing to crumble at all levels, and really, I could just name every stream that. I could just say every single stream is. Society continues to crumble at every single imaginary level. But, it's actually, it rings quite true for what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be looking at infrastructure crumbling. Again, I know
Ooh,
you guys like,
lovely. It's our favorite. I was
yeah.
gonna say it's one of our favorite topics to talk about.
I love talking about crumbling infrastructure because that's really a good sign that you're in a futuristic dystopia.
Hmm.
You can't really say you're on the way or you're there unless you have crumbling infrastructure. And we're going to be talking about crumbling infrastructure in manufacturing and in our airlines again. And we're going to be talking about some new fake hoaxes, race hoaxes. Talking about revisiting a story from Uber that we didn't get to last week. And some other fun stories. So COVID stories, of course, because you guys know we can't leave COVID alone. We got a story about how heart inflammation link is stronger than previously thought. What a shocker there. Anyway,
Right. What? So it's just like, ooh.
let's get into it. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage. All right. Thank you. RL says, I like the new hairstyle, Jeremy. It's very contentious on the channel, the samurai bun. My mom doesn't like it, so I don't know. Yeah. She says I'm a professional and I need to be wearing a professional hairstyle. And I told her it's 2021 and we live in cyberpunk time now. And, that's what people do now. So, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Look at Look, yes, don't misclassify it. Oh, I still got Delaney muted. Okay, so there we go. I think we're fixed now. But yeah, look at Jack from Twitter at the hearing. Goes to a congressional hearing with the total homeless get up, looking with the beard and everything, and it's like, come on, dude.
Oh, yeah, right. Jack Dorsey. Oh my, he looks so bad. Like he's got that like Al Qaeda beard going. Like
Mm-hmm.
he just looks so bad. Like he looks like he looks so homeless every time. More and more homeless every time I see him do public engagements.
Well, that's what happens when you're doing ayahuasca every other weekend, and just losing your mind slowly. Let's see. Synergy says Cyberpunk 2021, fake presidents, worthless vaccines, pissant pandemics, and a drained spiraling dollar. But no mean tweets and OnlyFans. Very well said, sir. That is really it. That right there is the plot to a dystopian movie. Come on, that somebody has got to write a science fiction movie with that plot line right there. Fake pandemics, worthless vaccines, fake presidents. We're going to be talking about the fake president and a little bit about the vaccines today. I think we had a comment jump in on stereo. Let's get the stereo warmed up. It's also Synergy in the stereo. He's got all bases covered. He's VIP of the night, apparently.
Jack Dorsey, austere, secular oligarch.
Indeed. Indeed.
Sure. We'll just go with that. They just looking like a hobo, that's all. It's like they're going, so you know how a lot of like poor people try to look rich by buying fancy brands? I feel like the new trend with rich people is to look as poor as possible so that way people won't try to rob you. And I think that's what's going on here in like the fashion world when it comes to these uber wealthy people. They are looking like super homeless so that way people don't really think that they have any money.
Yes, they're trying to blend in. They don't want to get shanked on their way to work every day. And thank you, Holly. Holly says
Exactly.
Holly says it's more like Viking hair, and that was the original intent anyway. Thank you for saying that,
Yep.
Holly, because that is it's actually what I was going for. I'm growing it out so I can do the braids and get a raiding boat and colonize foreign lands.
Just don't do dreadlocks, please, Jeremy. Just don't do dreadlocks. That's all I ask.
No dreadlocks. All right, chat's filling up. I gotta start out with an apology today, guys. I did screw up last week's stream. I sent the feed input to the wrong event, so some of you were probably waiting in an empty room that never started. So glad to see you all made it here today. Apologies for that. It does happen from time to time. And with that said. Yeah, the Viking cowboy. I'll get a cowboy hat on with my Viking hairstyle. Let's go to our first story of the night from Illinois. You guys probably seen this, but I want to have a little discussion about this as soon as I can find the right window to bring up. A chemical plant exploded in Illinois. And now, when we talk about infrastructure, traditionally, people think about roads, pipelines, things like that. But infrastructure also includes our manufacturing capabilities, okay? You got to keep that in mind. As society deteriorates, and as if it were true that we were living in a situation where our infrastructure was crumbling, what would we expect to see? We would expect to see things like facilities crumbling, manufacturing plants experiencing catastrophic errors, supply chain disruptions, massive inflation, all of which we're actually seeing now. So this is a continuation of that. I wanted to, point that out with this story. This isn't just a random one-off story of a chemical plant exploding and burning down to the ground and causing massive amounts of likely pollution to the area and damage to the local residents, but it's a part of a bigger story, okay? We got a comment from Osis real quick, and then we'll get into the story.
I gave Jack Dorsey a couple of crumpled up dollars and some loose change and directions to Glide Memorial Church downtown a couple days ago. At least it looked like him. I think it was him.
It might have been him.
Yeah, a very high possibility that it was him. So, check out some of this footage here that we got from Illinois regarding a manufacturing plant for lubricants. Mass industrial lubrication.
Like like oil, or like we talking like naughty lube?
Industrial lubricants. I don't know the answer
Okay,
to that.
so it's like oil, not like not what I'm thinking.
We could read the story and get some more information. Why don't we just jump into get a couple details here? A massive fire at Rockton, Illinois chem tool plant continues to burn for a second day. Tuesday, it's burning for 2 days. A massive chemical plant went up in flames around 7 a.m. Monday, and firefighters say it could burn for several days. The Rockton Fire Department has ordered a mandatory evacuation affecting all residents and businesses within 1 mile of Chemtool. It will last until Wednesday morning, officials said Tuesday afternoon. So the firefighters, if you watched the video on this, they decided to not even fight the fire. They decided to let it burn because they didn't want the water to leak the chemicals into the nearby water supply, of which there was one within, I think, 500 feet or 500 yards. There was a little river or stream.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, I mean, you just got to let this burn. But I don't know what the cause is. I don't know if there's any information on the cause yet. I tried looking for one in the videos that have been out, but was not able to find one. And since it's still burning, it's unlikely that they actually have anything yet. But this is, what are the chances that it's due to negligence or incompetence? What would you put the percentage chance of those?
Maybe like a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I would say a little bit of both. I mean, like, how old is this factory? So negligence as far as like maybe they haven't updated their stuff and their technology might be old, and then incompetence, like, with all of the crap going on with diversity hires and all this garbage. Who knows if they actually hired people that are qualified to run this factory and run this plant and make sure that it's at peak efficiency and everything is where it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm experiencing a little incompetence right now trying to find footage of the actual explosion. I thought I had it bookmarked here because I wanted to, catch your guys' attention with flashy images of Hollywood-style explosions, but apparently I'm unable to find one on the 18 videos that are on this page. But anyway, I think you're right. This is regardless of whether or not this is actually the result of negligence or incompetence. What we're seeing with like diversity hires and stuff, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's exactly what's going to happen with all this stuff. We're hiring people who, based on their race, based on their gender, for jobs that are most of the time low consequence. Okay, low consequence meaning these are HR people, they're paper pushers, they're analysts who are doing menial work that doesn't have much consequence. But every once in a while, you're going to get a chemical plant manufacturing facility that hires people based on race or ethnicity or maybe even cheap labor from Mexico because we seem to not be able to shut down the borders. And this is going to be the inevitable result of that. People get into positions where there are consequences. They don't have the competence to be able to fulfill those positions properly, and things like this will happen. So we'll have to kind of play wait and see on this one, what the actual root cause is.
I mean, yeah, I think it's like, I say all of the above, Alex, for 200. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I go with. Like, it's a bit of both. Like, I mean, I don't know who works this chemical plant, but like I said, with what we know about society now and, an industry like manufacturing lubricants like that, that it's probably male dominated, white male dominated. And because of all of this crap going on so socially that we're having, that the people who are running these chemical factories and all of these different like main infrastructure companies are going to be pressured into hiring other than straight white males to run their factories, and even if they're not qualified.
That's right. And Zen brings up a great point in chat as well. He says the hacks and outdated old software. Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Like, who knows if their equipment is like up to date, up to standard? How long has it been since they've serviced it? You never know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But I vote all of the above for 200, Alex.
Yep. It's totally possible, within the realm of possibility, that this is the result of a software error or some kind of cyber attack as well. Again, whether or not this is that, we will eventually see explosions and physical damage as a result of cyber attacks. It's only a matter of time, people. Just want to keep you aware of that, and that's why we're covering stories like this one. Let's see. We got 2 comments in the stereo chat, and then we're going to jump over to a story about that very topic regarding Southwest Airlines grounding all of their flights because of a computer glitch. What a gorgeous segue. Yes, indeed. Let's see here. Money Penny, what's up, Money Penny?
Oh my God. Have you seriously finished talking about Biden without bringing people's attention to the illegal faux pas he did with Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of England? First of all, he was wearing sunglasses. That's unheard of. She needs to be able to see you in the eyes.
Oh, was that a violation?
He said, she reminds me of my mother, which is a real no. And also he disclosed the topic of conversation. Grrr! So I think he's currently hanging in the Tower of London. Ha ha.
So
I wish he would, Miss Moneypenny.
So he breaks all of the social conventions that are in place around the English royalty, and then he gets called, high class, and nobody's saying that he's embarrassing America, as opposed to Trump.
Well, yeah. And how could he sit there and say with a straight face that she reminds him of his mother when she's not much older than him? So,
well, you got to give it. At least he wasn't outright saying like he did a week ago that he was imagining her being 19 again and sitting on his lap or something like that.
Oh wow, that's so appropriate.
Which he said to an underage girl in the audience of one of his speeches. So. Could be worse.
So appropriate.
Could be worse.
Yeah, it could be much worse, but still, oof. Damn Biden.
No, we're gonna see. I wasn't even aware of any of that, so our UK correspondents have to chime in and let us know that stuff like that is happening.
We got to know about how to properly greet and address the Queen, of course. Just in case any of us ever meet her, which I probably never will, but you never know.
It's better to be more overdo it, bow when you're not supposed to and stuff like that, than say stupid things like you remind me of my mom. You know what I mean? Trump would do stupid things like bow when you're not supposed to, which is fine. That if you're overdoing it, okay, that's cool. We understand. But when you're saying stuff like that and you're wearing sunglasses, come on, man. That's all I got to say to that.
Come on, man.
Osis.
Elucidate some details regarding lubricants and
please do.
Oils and greases and whatnot, since I work with them. Companies like Dow Corning, Chevron, and the company I work with a lot is GEA, FES. They all have proprietary oil blends, alkyl benzene, polyol ester is the one that's popular now. So there's a lot of different manufacturers that they make specs. They spec out what they want. And you get a grease gun or 55-gallon drum of oil and the tubes of grease. And most of it is petroleum-based. There are some synthetics, but I'm sure all those chemicals are super volatile when they're not mixed together.
Oh, yeah.
So I imagine that's something along the lines of what that plant did.
It's a high-stakes environment, with the caustic or, flammable chemicals like that everywhere in high concentrations. Yeah. Let's see. Anthony in the chat. What's up, Anthony? Welcome. He says, did he sniffer? He probably snuck in a little sniff on the Queen. Come on. We all know.
No, she's too old for him. We all know that he likes sniffing the younger ones, not the older ones.
Let's see. That's great. Douglas Masters. What's up, Doug? Welcome. He says, I'm waiting to hear about the big cat celebrity that dies when the Diversity Hire airplane pilot nosedives into the side of a mountaintop.
Damn.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? We did cover a story a couple weeks back about how certain airlines, I think it was American or I don't know who it was, but they want to make 50% of their pilots women when I think the number is under 10% right now. So they're going to have to do a little bit of that.
It was either American or I think it was either American or Delta that wanted to do 50% women on their pilot force. Which I'm okay, go for it. But you're not going to find very many women pilots that want to work for you. So have fun with that.
Yeah, no, that's going to be pilots, one of those places where there's high consequences. Like cybersecurity. I talk about that all the time. It's high consequence. It's going to be one of the first places you see signs of incompetence. So when they say that we're going to hire 50% women as pilots, I gotta get a little apprehensive about that. We got chat from Paul.
Of all this shit with Biden, my favorite has got to be the fact that everyone deserves someone who has a spouse who looks at them like Joe Biden looks at anyone who isn't his wife.
Right? As soon as he turns to his wife, it's just like, oh, God, no, I don't want that. Oh, everybody else,
indeed.
hell yes.
We will be taking a look at the footage of Biden getting pulled away by his wife at the G7 summit as he's looking lost in the middle of a gazebo among the world leaders. That's coming up next. But first, we got to go to a story about. This is a follow-up to the infrastructure story. This one I just found right before the stream, and I'm glad I did because doesn't it relate so perfectly to what we talk about here all the time? Southwest Airlines grounds all flights after a computer glitch happens that prevents them from sharing weather data. So I'm going to pivot a little bit with this story on the topic, the bigger picture topic anyway. This is not only a problem with infrastructure, but this is also an issue of centralization. Okay, so when you have a single point of failure like this in whether it's your computer system or your society in general, I mean, Southwest Airlines is a massive airline, right? I've flown on Southwest.
I like flying Southwest personally.
One little computer glitch, one thing goes wrong, and not even necessarily the result of a cyber attack, but one little thing goes wrong, and guess what? Your entire fleet gets grounded. This is from today, from NewYorkPost.com. Southwest Airlines grounded flights across the country to Tuesday for the second time in less than 24 hours. I don't know why there's a video of a dog in a wheelchair falling into a pool in this story, but there you go. It's a little eye candy for you guys to watch as we read through the story here. Air travelers took to Twitter by thousands to report with reports of what airline staff reportedly told them was a computer system outage after hours after, quote, intermittent performance issues with a third-party weather app forced a similar group stop Monday night. Ooh, a third-party weather app. Now, where have you guys heard a cybersecurity professional tell you about the risks of third-party applications integrating with companies?
Right here on this channel.
Could it be this channel last stream? Yes,
Yeah.
it was. That's exactly what I told you guys, as if I'm some kind of prophet. You're seeing a perfect example of that happening right now, where these companies have so much reliance on these tools and these third parties that when the third party goes out, when the third party has an issue, you have to ground all flights. So there's a little lesson in cause and effect for you there. Quote, we are aware of system issues and are working quickly to resolve. Yeah, great, thanks. I'm sure all the people in the airport. God, have you ever been in an airport that looked like that? Luckily, I've never been in an airport that was that jammed up, but man, that has got to be an absolute nightmare. Airline operations.
I've never been in an airport that looked like that, but when coming back from the Bahamas when I was a kid, that's kind of what customs looked like.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yep. International stuff. Yep. They got to shake you down and all that. Make sure you're not carrying in any exotic animals or cocaine.
Luckily, I was like only 10, but I mean, so my mom is like pasty white like you, Jeremy, and I'm a little bit on the brown side. So going through customs with my super white mom was always kind of like a little bit of a disconcerting kind of thing, because the customs enforcement agents would be like, "Is this your mother?"
Oh yeah, no, they're
like,
probably
duh.
a little confused. Yeah, I apologize for for cracking up in the middle of your story, but for some reason, New York Post has a video auto playing on the bottom right-hand corner of a dog taking a dump in the middle of a street on a dash cam. I don't know what is up with New York Post. New York Post. I'm trying to run a serious podcast here. Okay.
Yep.
We got
and
dog.
All you give us is dogs crapping in the middle of the road. Man.
Dogs falling into
It's not
pools
cool.
and dogs taking dumps in the street. I'm trying to save society here. New York Post.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we're trying to wake people up to the degradation of American culture, and here we are just looking at videos of dogs taking dumps in the middle of the road.
Apologize for that. Please take my stream seriously. Anyway, we got a couple stereo chats that piled up after that story. Let's take a listen here. This is a new guy.
It's only gonna get worse.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. That's kind
Well
of
said.
It's got
Well said.
very succinct, to the point, direct. I like it. He's got a follow up though. Let's see what he's got to say.
It's only gonna get worse in the realm of computers. We're getting more computerized as a society, and people want more computerization, want more automation. So there's gonna be a major cyber attack that takes out everything. And I'm not saying this as some fucking elitist. I'm saying this as just someone who's speculating it, you know?
Yes, this guy gets it.
We've been calling it out for weeks now. And I mean, Jeremy, the host of this, he works in cybersecurity, and he's like, this is going to happen, y'all. Just wait. You just wait. And we're just waiting for our Nostradamus of prediction to come true, because it's going to happen, folks.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a situation where we're on the Titanic, and we see the iceberg, or at least I see the iceberg. I see it right up there. And I'm like, hey, guys, you guys know there's an iceberg up there, right? You see that? You see that too, right? Because not only is there just an iceberg, but the iceberg is moving towards us, and we're approaching the iceberg at the same time. So instead of us just neutrally floating into the iceberg, we're coming to a convergence where we are unaware of our increasing reliance on technology. At the same time, we're unaware of the growing cyber threats against us and the centralization of that. So, yeah, great point, and definitely something that we talk about quite a bit on here. We got Osis with another chat.
These types of stories make me wonder, as a security guy, I'm sure you're very familiar with the concept of redundancy. Do these guys not have any backup anything for whatever they do?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
I mean, some of my customers refuse to let me install things in case something goes wrong, and then you really have to huckly bucket to fix it. But a multi-billion-dollar international company like that has lives on the line should have redundancy. They should have triple redundancy, in my opinion. I don't know what these people are doing. They're incompetent and stupid, trying to cut corners.
People.
Yes, no, that's exactly right, dude. It's cutting corners. I've seen it myself in all kinds of industries, working directly with these people in that actual line of work, and there is no redundancy really when you have a need for a particular thing, like in this particular example, Southwest was unable to transmit weather data. So they have one source, one vendor, one external supplier of weather data, not two, just one. And when that one fails, guess what? All airlines are grounded. And they do that because you already called it out, man. I mean, I don't even need to elaborate any further on it. It's cutting corners. That is, if they were to get two, that means their bottom line, the shareholders, wouldn't get as much. So they have to minimize expenses. And that's exactly what it is. No redundancy, no backups.
I mean, they could just minimize expenses by, instead of giving us pretzels and shit on their flights. Like, how about take the pretzel money and invest it towards actually getting some decent redundancy and some protection for yourself, so that way this incident doesn't happen again. Because when you ground flights and you prevent people from being able to travel, that's money out of your pocket right there. So I just they seem really dumb about this kind of crap.
Are you seeing the size of some of these people in line? You know what's going to happen if they don't get pretzels? It's going to be riots. It's going to be riots on the plane.
Well, they used to serve peanuts, and that's what Southwest got famous for, was for their peanuts. But, with all the peanut allergies, they can't serve peanuts anymore, so they had to switch to pretzels.
God. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute joke. I mean, that's just another way that society is crumbling. We're getting weaker biologically as well because we don't want to give our kids peanuts. But anyway, that's a whole other stream topic. What's up, Kizza? Welcome to the chat, man.
Yep, Kizza.
See, now, Synergy told me that I can install ad blockers to block the dog videos. I know I could do that, but see, you got guys like Kira in chat who says in all caps, look at the dog. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah, we
additional
gotta-
entertainment value. You know, it increases my audience reach a little bit because some people don't like what I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
the-
but they can see the dog taking a dump on the screen. They're probably more along their.
Yeah, they're not here for the facts or for information or like, anything about how to think. They're here for the dogs.
Yes. Stalking Horse says kind of like streaming only on YouTube. Yes, absolutely correct. That is a perfect example of no redundancy. Luckily, we actually do stream on DLive as well, and Periscope and Twitch. Although I think our Twitch is deprecated. I think I don't look at the Twitch at all.
Yeah.
We probably got banned off Twitch.
Twitch is a cesspool of just hot tub. Like, I think it's hilarious how people can like do hot tub streams on Twitch, but us talking about real stuff, it probably doesn't get viewed, or the algorithms push us at the bottom, or nobody watches us on there. But
Well-
people in hot tubs can get all the views.
That's an easy answer, Delaney. The answer to why women and girls, young girls in bikinis, can put a webcam of themselves in small indoor pools, as you mentioned, or hot tubs on a gaming platform. The reason why they can get away with that, they're not playing any games, is because that
No games.
destroys masculinity. It distracts men. It sucks resources. It's a resource transfer of men from men to the women, and they make a lot of money off it as well. So it's a win-win-win for them. They destroy masculinity, make a bunch of money, and prop up femininity, and hypersexualize our population and make us numb.
Of course, like why? Like that just sounds like genius to me.
As
They want to just make all of our men just couch potatoes that don't want to do anything with their lives but just sit there and watch women in hot tubs on Twitch all day.
thousands of people watching those. As Michael Scott would say, that is a win-win-win. That's an Office reference for you guys. I know we got a lot of Office fans in here probably.
I don't watch The Office. Sorry.
It's okay. It's only good for a few seasons. Stalking Horse says, I like to look at the ads in Tim Pool's live streams. I get a little bit of clue. You get clues onto what kind of stuff they browse, right? What's up, Mitch? Welcome.
Nope.
Let's see. Former gaming platform. Yes, thank you, Zen. Oh, and Holly points
Yeah,
out.
it is.
Holly's got another good point here. She says it reduces women to objects while screaming feminism. Yes,
Hell yeah,
accomplishes a lot.
women power.
Accomplishes a lot. Let's see here.
And then they get mad when you like are sexualizing them, but they sexualize themselves, but then get mad at you for sexualizing them. It's like it's just a vicious cycle.
Yep. And
It's like how about put some clothes on and then people won't sexualize you so much.
Yeah, well, I do maintain a list of topics to talk about for the show, and one of the aside from just actual articles, I maintain kind of bigger picture topics to talk about. And the top 4, I'm looking at it right now, is OnlyFans, the symptom of men, women selling their bodies. Exactly what we're talking about right here. That's what Twitch is now.
Yep.
So this is it's definitely on my mind as one of the biggest issues in society right now. Hyperfeminization of society, but that's not the topic for today. Let's go to Paul in chat and then jump on to our next story.
You are, of course, right, Delaney. I don't come here for the facts. I come to Andrew Cuomo, who would never lie to us. Right, Grandma? Grandma?
Grandma, where you at? Oh wait, she's in a nursing home with COVID and has all kinds of health deprivation effects from being stuck in quarantine with a bunch of COVID infected people. Sorry, Grandma.
Rip, Grandma. Okay.
R.I.P.
So
Rip.
let's go down to this is now. I gotta tell you guys. I gotta admit. I gotta come clean. The Biden thing. It's not really a topic that I wanted to talk about that much because we all know what's going on with Biden. We know he's losing his mind. He's old, decrepit, senile. He has no idea where he is half the time. But I feel like this is a special case that does deserve some pointing out because this is the G7 summit where he is gathering with all the world leaders. And this is interesting because it's the first time since he's become president that he's been forced to be in the public eye, for extended periods of time, meaning multiple days in a row, no rest in between, right? No breaks. No
No
time.
naps.
No time to no naps. You can't put a lid on the day at 9 a.m. You can't be on copious amounts of stimulants to get through a 2-hour speech or half an hour speech, whatever it is he's doing. So we're seeing
Like a 10-minute speech for him.
Yeah, this is interesting because it's the first real, actual, true glimpse of Biden, I would say. That's my assessment of what's happening here. And as such, we're going to take look at a few examples of his performance as the thunder coincidentally starts banging in the background at the exact time that we're going to go to the Biden footage. Thank you, Susan. And the weather control is getting very precise these days. I got to say that. But anyway, let's go to Twitter for some videos of Biden. Let's just take a look at what the leader of the free world, how he's performing on the public stage in front of all of our leaders. Okay, this is from disclosed.tv. Biden apparently gets lost reading his notes at the EU-US summit. Turn the volume up.
And I've said before, and I apologize to repeat. I didn't take sorry you were taken for a massive security advisor. I'm leaving out a lot of people here. I apologize. I'm going to get in trouble. But anyway, we'll get back to that. But there's a lot.
At this point, it's just like elderly abuse.
That is happening. I used to.
Oh man, I wish I could get away with just doing a stream where I come on here, I flick the stream on, and I'm like, "Oh, hey guys, we've been doing a lot of, well, anyway, it's that's really what you would expect, a little bit of higher performance from the leader of the free world, and you could see the other leaders looking at him like, Jesus Christ, what is
Right?
happening right now? And this woman on the right, you could see she's like biting her lips. I don't even know who that is, but she's obviously embarrassed just to be even sitting next to this guy. So
Yep. I'm embarrassed for us that this is the guy that we chose to represent us period. Like, this guy is just, there are hotlines that we could all call to like help this man get the help he needs, because this is elderly abuse at this point.
Well, Zen points out a good question in chat, and he says, does anyone know who's actually running the country and calling the shots? It's definitely not Biden, and it doesn't look like Kamala. So who then? There you go. Interesting question. That's a question we've been asking since the election, because we knew, obviously, since then that neither of these people were competent enough to actually do the job, fulfill the role, as part of our ongoing segment about the death of competency in America. There's no better representation of that than the leader of our country displaying his incompetence widely to the other leaders of the free world. So, this is a little rough to watch. Biden is a puppet, and the others are laughing at him when he's not looking. Here's what I want to see. I would love to see. I would actually pay for this. Give me the footage of Putin in the back room, or whatever, just laughing his ass off, watching Biden stumble through every public appearance he makes. I want to see Putin laughing and saying, whatever kind of cool Russian things he says in Russian, because, we all know Russian is a sweet language and it sounds cool. But I want to see what his reaction is to all this. And if anybody knows of any Putin reactions to anything Biden's saying, let me know. Drop it in chat, because I definitely want to see that. Let's go to our next example here. This one is from, Sky News in Australia. Other countries are noticing, okay? I don't know. Not every country has such tight controls on their media. And I don't know, Sky News, I don't know if they're right-leaning, left-leaning. Or where they fall on the spectrum, but you know what? They got cool accents because they're from Australia, and they call out Joe Biden's behavior. Yep. So we'll take a look at what does Australia think of Joe Biden here?
But in Europe, where he yesterday met Vladimir Putin, he was asked by journalists, "But do you still think he's a killer, right?" Check his answer or non-answer. It's like, I don't know, he's waiting for someone to whisper, the answer to him through his earpiece.
To answer the first question, I'm laughing too. They actually, well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is, I believe he has in the past essentially acknowledged that he was, there are certain things that he would do or did do.
So for those of you listening on the stereo, I got to remind you that the audio is only coming through on the YouTube. So we just heard Biden basically getting asked, what do you think of Putin? And he stood there and he's like, and you could hear the air escaping his lungs. Like he doesn't even have the strength to keep the air in his lungs. And he totally does not answer the question at all, and it's very confusing and hard to watch. It's almost as if he pauses literally for about 6 seconds straight in pure silence, staring at the ground, as if he's waiting for someone to speak into his ear and give him the answer. Like the anchor pointed out, it sounds like he's waiting for someone to speak into his ear. So that's just, now this is bad, but it's even worse if you've actually seen what old Biden footage looks like. And I definitely recommend for you all, if you haven't, just Google Biden footage from like the 80s or something like that, and you'll see how Biden, when he was completely psychologically sound, how he performed. He was sharp, okay? He was sharp, he was quick, he was assertive. This is a shell. This is someone who is clearly suffering psychological damage. And last but not least, we've got the now famous footage of Biden lost in at the G7 summit. Now, this YouTube tried to suppress this. They didn't want you to find this. If you try searching for Biden getting lost, it's actually kind of hard to find this. I'll say that. So let's just take a look at Biden getting lost and getting dragged away by his wife before he gets too caught up in answering the press's unfiltered questions.
How are your meetings going in Cornwall, Mr. President?
Actually ask questions.
No.
How are your meetings going here in Cornwall?
Very well.
So
How dare they?
a reporter simply asks him, as he's standing there looking lost, he has no idea where he is or where his wife is. She asks him, how are the meetings going in Cornwall? And his wife, Jill, of course, the doctor, Dr. Jill, runs up with extreme urgency and says, let's just watch it again.
Meetings going here in Cornwall?
Very well.
He's all Biden says is very well. He manages to just squeak out the words very well in response to her question. And Jill is like, oh, no, whoa, stop talking, come on, come over here. And she's like waving him, and she grabs him and just drags him away. As everybody,
nothing to see here, folks.
As everybody around bursts out in laughter. This is yeah. I think this actually, you know what? As bad as this really is, I think this is an accurate representation of the state of America.
A little bit, yeah.
America is a retard that needs to have a caregiver pull it along everywhere it goes because it's incapable of surviving on its own. And we had a couple
need to constantly be corralled and told what to think and what to do.
Yeah, no, you have to have lines. And you mentioned, you saw in the, I think it was the second clip, or maybe, no, it was the first clip. He says, I'm going to get in trouble because he went off the script a little bit. Every single time you see him kind of just go off the script a little bit, or maybe he stays 1 second later to answer press questions, he always says out loud, I'm going to get in trouble for this. As if, he's not even trying to hide the fact that he's got handlers who are face-palming 10,000 times a day as they try to handle this guy and wrangle him into just getting through a press conference without some catastrophic, embarrassing disaster like those. So let's
because they don't. The media doesn't want to have to play catch up on him for being a dumbass, so they will. They feed him a script. He has to stick to the script, even if he doesn't really stick to the script. And if he veers off the script, it makes more work for them. And they don't want to do actual journalism and actual work, and actually let the man speak his mind, because that would just be too bad.
It would be like a Krakatoa explosion of disaster, diarrhea all over everyone's screen.
It would make people actually question why they voted for this guy.
Yeah. Well, Zen in the YouTube chat brings up a great point. He says, didn't he have to withdraw in '88 due to plagiarism or something? And the answer to that is yes. Now, this is a perfect example, along with the fact that we don't see any kind of footage of Biden from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or any previous time, is because they are trying to cover up the history as much as possible so that you're not aware of how bad the present is. And that is a perfect example of that. Yes, he did have to withdraw a presidential run in '88 or somewhere around there due to plagiarism. He got caught plagiarizing and he had to withdraw because of it. So, yeah, Kizza also says, did you forget his '88 run for president? Yeah. Nope, that's also definitely worthy of remembering, because nobody in the media will remind you. And for a lot of people watching, that's probably the first time you've even heard of it. So,
yeah, I remember when he eulogized Robert Byrd, and Robert Byrd, for those who don't know, was like a devout member of the KKK. I remember when he went to his funeral and eulogized him. But Biden's a decent guy who eulogizes known white supremacists.
Absolutely, because he's part of the establishment. We got Kizza and Stereo.
What people seem to forget is, and I'm not sure you two are aware of, is the fact where it was based in Devon, they ended up destroying a huge amount of greenery around just to allow these people to come in, costing me, the taxpayer, millions of pounds, and they happily mingle and gladly mingle with each other, but us plebeians couldn't do that, and they wonder why people were revolting. On another note, as for your point, Jeremy, on centralization, one aspect of good centralization is Motorsport Valley. It's so damn good that we provide practically everything over American racing to South America to Australia to everywhere in Europe, because we are the dog's bollocks and the undisputed kings of motorsport.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
He just has to plug in, plug that in.
That's fine. Appreciate that. You can use the Stereo to plug whatever you feel like. Let's see. There was these G7 clips are so painful to watch. How embarrassing for the U.S. Yeah, that's kind of that's the point, man. This is really rough to watch. Now compare this to what Trump was doing when everyone was saying Trump is embarrassing us in front of the world. When Trump was doing things like going to North Korea and standing on the DMZ line and shaking hands with Kim Jong-un. Just embarrassing stuff like that. Now we got this guy.
So embarrassing.
So embarrassing. This guy can't even read scripted lines. But
yeah, he can't even take off his sunglasses when he's interacting with the Queen of England. How dare he?
Yeah, exactly. That's really bad. We got Monica in Stereo. Let's see what Monica's got to say.
No, he did not. Both of you are just horrible liars.
Uh-oh.
I actually look up what you guys are. You guys are white nationalists.
No, definitely not a white nationalist. I'm not white, so you're wrong on that front. And also, how you want to know why you're not seeing it is because YouTube is purging videos of it. So that right there is why you're not finding it.
What is she even talking about?
Yeah, I don't even know what she's talking about either. But yeah, definitely not white.
Yeah, identifies
Get your
black.
facts straight.
Yeah, identifies black. So neither of us are actually white. And I'm not sure. Yeah, a question in the YouTube chat came up. Anthony says, why nationalists? That's interesting. I think, what you're seeing here, and this is why we like Stereo so much, because we like to, I throw in the term alt-centrist in the YouTube, in the Stereo description, just to trigger people like that, because word association is really good. It's kind of like a mousetrap for low IQ people, where you just put the word alt on something, and they will automatically associate it with white nationalism. So that worked. That's an effective mousetrap. Let's go to. We got 4 more stereo comments lined up. Kizla's got a follow up.
You say, Jeremy, that Joe Biden was sharp. His presidential run in '88, he straight up ripped off every talking point from Neil Kinnock, the Labour Party leader at the time.
Sharp. Well, at least he was able to repeat the lines that he stole. That's what I mean by sharp. Okay, and he doesn't. He doesn't necessarily write the lines himself, but he could at least speak them. But yes, aptly pointed out. Thank you for that. You know more about American political history than I do.
Right. It's funny how like the person who doesn't even live in America knows more about America's political history than a lot of Americans.
Well, you can hear his accent, right? I mean, you can tell he's really smart just by his accent. We got Paul.
Yep.
Biden pressers are going to devolve into question, followed by rambling, followed by
a few moments later,
and an incoherent, blabberish non-response.
Nice. Well executed, sir. I like that. I hope the chat appreciated that. I think
hope that lady heard what he had to say, but she probably moved on and went on to the segments and stereo where they talk about nonsense.
Well, yeah. See, the Monica we call this white nationalist. Mental illness does correlate highly with maladapted political ideologies like that. So she probably has ADD. She didn't stick around long enough to even hear us respond to her answer. But I would like her to actually elaborate on that. I'm not gonna like ban her or anything. I definitely want to hear her try to explain why or how we're white nationalists. I want to point out
Oh, go
ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know how I'm a white nationalist when I'm not white, so.
Yeah, neither of us are white. But anyway, Paul, I saw I don't have video of it, but that press conference, actually, sorry, no, I do have video, but I think it was the second clip, maybe the second clip of him on the podium answering the questions. Apparently, press was waiting for several hours for him to get up there and do that, and then he was only up there for like 20 minutes, and he took questions from the pre-approved press people. So yeah, no, I mean, this is you pretty much called it out exactly. He takes questions that are pre-prepared from people who are going to ask the right questions. They're going to throw him softballs. He's going to have the answers scripted on paper right in front of him, and the handlers just have to hope and pray that he can actually read the question off the paper. So let's go to DJ Cheesus.
I got in a little bit late today, but I don't know if you guys talked about this yet or not, but did you see the Jon Stewart thing on Colbert? God damn it. When I watched that shit, it just fucking reminded me of so many years ago when things were a little bit better, even though I fucking hate the left now.
Yes, DJ, I did see that. So what DJ's referring to is Jon Stewart went to Colbert's show, and basically he was advocating for the COVID lab leak hypothesis. I believe that's what you're referring to, sir, because that's what I saw regarding him on the Colbert show. So you would think, Stewart has kind of been, mostly on the left recently with the political talking points, but he's actually come out and kind of confronted Colbert, who's been a mouthpiece for the left ever since Trump got elected, and went against the grain. He said, you know what, lab leak is probably a real thing.
Well, I mean, at least somebody who the leftists worship and admire is at least like trying to bring some truth to the whole situation that they all are believing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you could see the difference. At least Stewart, you got to give him credit. Stewart can still have independent thought, where Colbert is completely possessed by the Hollywood machine, and he's just,
oh yeah,
did you guys hear about what Trump did today? For 4 years straight, every single night, that's what his show was. Like, oh dude.
Same thing with Trevor Noah. It's like him and Trevor Noah have like drank that Kool-Aid and are sucking it down like there's nobody's business before it all goes out.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. We got our other UK correspondent, Moneypenny.
Jesus. It's not Devon, darling. It's Cornwall, Newquay. Yeah, you're right on what you said there. The other thing is that it's all over the papers today. Obviously, they're all talking about being eco-friendly and all green and rescuing whales and getting rid of plastic. And it's been noted that Biden came in with 7 aircraft. 7 aircraft.
Wow.
Yes.
It's a little overkill, don't you think?
Oh man. Well, he wasn't flying Southwest. We know that.
Well, yeah, it wasn't flying Southwest, and it's always hilarious to me how the ones that are fighting for the Green New Deal or the New Green Deal, whatever that garbage is, they're the ones that are they're the ones that are using like the most fossil fuels out of all of us. So it's like if you're gonna implement all this stuff on us, why don't you implement it on yourself? But it's that whole mindset of for thee but not for me kind of way that they're gonna do it.
Yeah, it's just the only proper response to it at this point is just to kind of laugh at it. If you get upset about it, you're a little behind. You just gotta look at that stuff and laugh because it's so blatantly obvious that they don't care at all. I mean, these people are buying waterfront property and then telling you that the sea level is gonna rise. Come on. All right, we got one more comment from Paul, and then we'll go on to our next segment.
Just call Colbert exactly what he is, a non-playable comedian.
Oh, yeah. He's not even funny.
Nice.
Like, same thing with him and Trevor Noah. They're not even funny. Like, I try to watch them, and I can't because they're supposed to be comedians, but they don't make me laugh at all. They actually kind of just are very just wah kind of mentality. And I can't watch them anymore.
No, what they are, it's kind of like when you take a daily dose of a pharmaceutical to maintain a mental state. These people who are mentally ill have to get a daily dose of the unreality in order to maintain their mental illness. And, they're two movies on one screen view that's inconsistent with reality. They need somebody to reassure them that the reality they built in their head is real. And guys like Colbert are more of a casual way. Who's the guy on John Oliver as well. Like guys like Colbert, Oliver, the African one that you mentioned. That's all they're there to do is to provide subtle reinforcements of the fake worldviews that you believe and provide kind of mental support to keep you believing in that fake reality. And all you need is a guy who has appears to have credibility, appears to have status. All you need is him to give a joke about it, him to comment about it, and then you kind of feel reassured in your mind. You're like, oh yeah, no, I am right. Trump is Orange Man bad. Yeah, that's right, Orange Man bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it really is.
Yeah, with Trevor Noah, he's like, I know what racism is because I'm from apartheid Africa. I was raised in it. It's like, you got out of Africa when you were a child, so don't even sit there and tell me that like you understand racism because you were like living in it for a long time in your life. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, no, well, he never really talked about that, until it was profitable for him to talk about being a victim, and then he magically became a victim overnight because he was actually a somewhat funny stand-up comic before that.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty funny. I've seen some of his older stuff, and he was actually kind of funny. But then when the whole Black Lives Matter thing came out, he's all like, well, yeah, like I'm with it because I was raised in racism. I wouldn't have been allowed to exist if I was in South Africa still.
Speaking of racism, I want to play a little game with you guys.
Yeah.
Let's play a little game.
Okay.
Late night TV is dead. Yeah. Let's play a game called Rate That Racism Hoax. So you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
On your screen, I'm going to present to you a picture of a. We all know it's going to be a hoax, and we're going to rate the effectiveness. We're going to evaluate the efficacy of this and see how likely it'd be to pass for a real racial incident. Let's pull it up. Here we go. From Tucson, Arizona. Stand With Us on Twitter reports that we strongly condemn this disgusting act of anti-Semitism. A local synagogue in Tucson, Arizona was vandalized with a swastika and an anti-Semitic slur. Police are investigating the incident. Quote, hashtag stand up to hatred. So anything jump out immediately. Now, I got to give him credit. they got the swastika correct. They got the correct orientation. That is usually the first sign that we're dealing with the hoax, is they got the swastika wrong. But these people were doing several hours of Google research on what swastikas look like before they actually spray painted this one. But unfortunately, the word that they used, that slur, was misspelled. Now I'll tell you.
I don't even know what that means. Like,
Yeah, so what you're looking at on the screen, for those of you who aren't watching, or what we're looking at on the screen for those who are listening, is the common Jewish slur, and starts with a K. But now I'll say this. If you are, let's say you're part of a racist group, and you're on all kind of underground online forums where you coordinate your super devastating white nationalist racist terrorism attacks that happen every day in America.
Actual white nationalism.
Yep, you would see that word used a lot. Like all the time, every single day, multiple times a day, and there is no possible way that you would misspell it. So I give this one an 8 out of 10 simply because they got the swastika right, and that in and of itself is hard enough for these low IQ retards who are always spray painting their own doors and their own headstones and their own dorm rooms and their own businesses with these hoaxes. So I give it 8 out of 10. What do you give it, Delaney?
So, I give it like a 7, just because I kind of want to know, did they do this to themselves, or like the Jews do this to themselves, or was it maybe like a black person that did it to them?
Probably a black guy. It's usually a black guy.
That's kind of what I assume. It might have been a black person, like, or like, because like you said, if they had actually like spelt the slur for the Jews correctly, then it would be one thing. Then it's a real white nationalist. But because they spelt it wrong, I'm kind of thinking it was probably a black dude. So yep, there's white nationalism right in front of your face.
Or what if it was a real white nationalists pretending to do a hoax, so they knowingly misspelled it so that they wouldn't get a hot trail? What about that? I'm trying to go full.
There you go.
I'm trying to go full conspiracy theory. I'm trying to accommodate any kind of retard theories here that we could be dealing with on this one. But
they're just like double hoaxing all of us, honestly.
We've seen how many of these over the past year that we've had this stream. We've covered at least probably one of these every week, and they're never ever real, ever real. So I'm waiting for more details on this. Maybe details are already out because this is from 3 days ago, so it's a little outdated for my standards. But you know what? Hey, maybe there's some updated information if you guys want to check out that story from Tucson, Arizona. The reason I didn't do follow-up is because I was going to cover that on the last stream, so I wanted to make sure I get this in there for this one. Let's go to chat.
I think it was. My guess is it was a black person that did this.
Kiza agrees with me, says that's a good double bluff. So it could be, maybe we're getting, these white nationalists are super intelligent, so, they could be doing double bluffs at this point. And then
they might be smart enough to do that finally.
Let's see here. They misspelled it. Yeah, exactly. Hoax hate. All that's missing is the Pink Panther theme. Yes, I'll have to get that for the next one. Great idea, thank you. I will get the Pink Panther theme, and I'll play that on the next one. I already got a theme for the cyber attack of the week, so I'll get the theme song for the hoax of the week as well.
Heck yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, Nick Pollock has a question in chat that's kind of related. He says, "What are your thoughts on communists using racism as a tool to bring communism to America?" And then he also says, don't dare bring up race and IQ differences. Yeah, no, can't talk about that. Susan's watching. We can't talk about that. What do you think about that,
Yeah,
Delaney?
we can't talk about that. Well, I mean, that's kind of what was written down in the Communist Manifesto. So to bring communism and to have communism infiltrate the minds of people is, if you can convince the person that they're oppressed just off their skin color, then it'll be easy to convince them that they're oppressed because of capitalism and just American or just free market ideology, and easier to disrupt the family and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's been written down for decades now, and it's something that a lot of people who Black people who were into communism have been trying to speak up against and saying like stop believing the racist narrative that is being fed to you, but unfortunately people just love it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. I would go one level deeper though. I would go
Okay,
because that's what I like to do. I like to go one level deeper on you guys here. This is why you watch the Weekly Narrative, because you want to go one level deeper. I think that it is that is all. There's always going to be a victimhood narrative present in America or in any society. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be underlying everything. But the only way that it rises up to the top, it's not because some communists decided that they want to start spreading this ideology in the schools. If they there has to be a prerequisite for it to flourish. The same way that when you plant a seed, it has to have a sufficient amount of sunlight and nutrients and water for it to grow. And those nutrients in this particular case is the state of hyper-feminization of society. Because the communist stuff, the victimhood, the us versus them, that really only appeals primarily to the feminist psychological mind frame. And later, Dave, thanks for stopping by, buddy. And that is what we're in right now. So this us versus them, the racist stuff, it's always been there. The reason it's popping up now, the reason it's bubbling up now, is because the prerequisites are finally in place, and the prerequisites in this particular case is, again, the hyper-feminization of society, emphasis on fairness, emphasis on equality, which are all feminine psychological traits. So it's just a manifestation of basic gender psychology. That's all this is. It doesn't require any kind of big, scary conspiracies or shadowy groups implementing any kind of plans. It's always there. It's just the conditions are right. Synergy says, Marx and Lenin thought the workers of the world would unite, but people just don't throw society away for nothing. Commies learned of this failure and realized that minorities of the world could unite minorities of the world. Okay, yeah, see, there's another good theory.
Absolutely.
What's up, Phil? Welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Let's see here. All right, so, yeah, that's our race hoax of the week. Just got to let you guys know that is still happening. Still happening. I think did we have a stereo chat come in? Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
DJ Jesus with another follow-up.
How dare you? I am beyond angry.
Yes. Oh man, that's one of my favorite videos of all time. That's an audio clip from I think it was Portland, a disabled green-haired guy in a wheelchair yelling at the city council because he felt depressed, and that's one of the all-time greatest. Thank you for that, sir.
Well, I mean, I hate to be mean, but if he was truly oppressed, then he wouldn't have been allowed to exist in this world, being a disabled green-haired person.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And he was also black, so,
Oh, God, yeah.
Intersectionality at its finest.
Yep, that victim totem pole is just raging for that person.
Well, he probably went to a university, and he got indoctrinated with that. And our next story is directly related to that very topic right there. People getting indoctrinated by universities. Now, this is an interesting one from Yahoo News. Very credible. North Korean defector says, quote, even North Korea was not this nuts after attending Ivy League school.
Ooh.
Now, maybe there's a little bit of hyperbole in there. Okay, I'm gonna allow for that. My brain says I am going to assume there's a little bit of hyperbole in this, but the fact that they would even draw that comparison in the same breath should be a little bit of a warning to people of America. And what the heck, YouTube? Come on. YouTube just closed the story on me for some reason. I'm trying to read about... Okay, North Korean defector. As American educational institutions continue to be called into question, a North Korean defector fears the United States' future is, quote, as bleak as North Korea after she attended one of the country's most prestigious universities. Yeonmi Park has experienced plenty of struggle and hardship, but she does not call herself a victim. One of several hundred North Korean defectors settled in the United States, Park, 27 years old, transferred to Columbia University from a South Korean university in 2016 and was deeply disturbed by what she found. Quote, I expected that I was paying this fortune, all this time and energy to learn how to think, but they are forcing you to think the way they want you to think, Park said in an interview with Fox News. Now, where have you heard that line before? Where have you heard somebody telling you that they want to teach you how to think and not what to think? Oh, wait, yep, no, that was this stream
right here on this channel.
Right here on the Weekly Nerd. That's exactly what we tell you guys. We want to teach you how to think, not what to think. And that's just exactly what they're doing in the universities. The exact opposite. They're telling you what to think, not how to think. She says, I realized, wow, this is insane. I thought America was different, but I saw so many similarities to what I saw in North Korea that I started worrying. Those similarities included anti-Western sentiment, yep, check. Collective guilt, yep, check. And suffocating political correctness, yep, check. Yeonmi saw red flags immediately upon arriving at the school. During orientation, she was scolded by a university staff member for admitting she enjoyed classic literature such as Jane Austen. She said, I love those books. I thought it was a good thing. Then she was told, did you know those writers had a colonial mindset? They were racists and bigots and are subconsciously brainwashing you. Yes.
Wow. It's pretty bold of somebody from North Korea to say that American people in universities are getting brainwashed.
Well, you know what? I have to kind of withdraw my statements of expected hyperbole because the way that they succinctly summarize it in those three subjects with the anti-Western sentiment, the collective guilt, and then the political correctness. I mean those are all 100% accurate and happening on a systemic level in America right now. It's not even really being challenged to any meaningful degree.
Yeah, and the people who do challenge, they get thrown out of the university. They get ostracized from society and get called white nationalists or get called, whatever names in the book to dissuade them from ever speaking out against it again. And it's not a right thing to. It's not a correct form of oppression that these people are claiming that it is.
Well, think about this. We've got people in solitary confinement right now. Some reports say that they're being tortured to some degree for simply walking into the Capitol building, okay? Not killing anybody, not attacking anybody, not bombing a building, for walking into a building. Because they're part of one political team, they're in solitary confinement facing what many would argue is excessive punishment for doing nothing really of any major consequence. Now, does that sound like something that would happen in a country like North Korea? Yes. That sounds exactly like something that would happen in a country like North Korea. So I'll supplement her argument with that point. And for those of you who aren't aware, I'm referring to the January 6th insurrection, which was not an insurrection. But there are a lot of people in jail for that right now. And if you think I'm exaggerating on the charges, you can see the FBI displaying their charges directly on their Twitter and other places where they are posting wanted photos and saying, this man is wanted for entering the Capitol building. Not for assaulting an officer, not for bombing, not for terrorism, for entering the Capitol building. So,
wow.
Yeah,
such a horrible crime that deserves to be locked up for eternity for entering our Capitol building that we, the taxpayers, pay for.
Yep. So anyway, the North Korean tendencies appear to be ubiquitous within America at this point. We got a few chats that came in on stereo. Let's jump over to those.
So, stuff keeps getting worse. I said this before, but there's a lot of people out there on these channels like Sky News, online that are like, I predicted it. I saw it coming. Well, you saw it coming. It's happening. What can we do about it? Nobody wants to get off their ass and do something about it. Nobody wants to get out of their cushy ass lives that have been built by the fucking system to do something.
Yes.
So I'm just lost, dude. I don't want to live in this, but nobody wants to do anything.
Man, you could not summarize my sentiment in a more succinct way, because I have to come on and do this stream every week where I talk about the state of society. And I'm honestly more interested in the next steps. So we're in a stage where we have to balance our energy towards trying to get people to take the red pill, or actually trying to leave and take those who are already red pilled and take the next steps, right? So, yeah, man, I feel your struggle, and to kind of to back myself up, I'm not just on here talking. I have my own plan. I've got my own strategy that I'm trying to implement, and it revolves around the concept of decentralization. And if you hang around the channel long enough, you'll be aware of my plans. You'll know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to entice people to basically leave the big cities. Are you kidding me? Can I do one stream without an emergency alert? Ever?
It's happening, folks. Susan Wojcicki's getting him.
Every single time. Unbelievable. And it's only when I stream. As soon as I start talking about my plan, they're like, give an emergency alert, interrupt the stream. I'll probably get it on my other phone too now, but I'm building a tiny house, okay, out of a used U-Haul truck. This is going to allow me to be living off-grid in a high-tech fashion. And the next step, once I'm independent of a physical location, is to buy land and start my own community. Now, with technology today, you have the ability to do that and not sacrifice really much at all. That is the current plan in a nutshell. I'm happy to talk about it more if you want more questions, but I do recommend subscribing and following the show, because we do talk about that quite often. Tornado, hurricane alert. Oh, man. We got Brandon.
And even if
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and even if you can't, like, say you can't just like get off the grid, or have your own commune, as we like to kind of put it, you can still, like, there are things that you can do to live within the society that we try to talk about. Get married, take care of your children, focus on those kinds of things, instead of worrying about what all these damn mutants and these retards are doing to crumble society. If you sit and focus on yourself and worry about protecting yourself and your family, you should be golden. But yeah, if you can get out of the city and get away from all these mutant retards, then yeah, do it, bro. I highly suggest it.
Yeah, that there's degrees to the solutions. Okay, now I'm taking it's dependent on your risk tolerance. I have high risk tolerance because I'm single. I have no family. No kids. I have high income. I can take large risks, like building a tiny house and buying land and trying to start my own town. But for some people, the solution is just as simple as starting a family. Raise a family. Have kids. Because having kids and procreating and teaching your kids Western values, that is the exact opposite of what these people want. So that right there is a solution that really anyone can do. No, it's not the most impactful, but it is incredibly detrimental to these people's long-term plans. So have kids, teach them Western values, homeschool them, don't send them into public schools.
Yeah, we even talked about this last week, about how when Jeremy and I were kids in school, it was the homeschool kids that were the freaking weirdos, the freaks, the losers, and the public school kids were normal. Now it's flipped. Now the homeschool kids are cool and normal and awesome and have good heads on their shoulders. And it's the public school kids that are the freak weirdos that can't, like, have their own free thought, their own just way of thinking about things.
Yep, exactly. And I don't know what a blue alert is, but that's what I got. They're looking for a an old white male, 6'2". I don't know what a blue alert is, but that's who they're looking for. Anyway, is
that like a child abduction alert or something?
Probably, yeah. I don't know why. It seems like that'd be something they'd have to send out an alert for. He definitely didn't just steal a bottle of whiskey out of the corner store. We got a comment here from Brandon in stereo.
It says #debate us. Am I able to come on the show and debate you guys?
We can probably do that, yeah. I can add a co-host. If let's see. Oh, I got 2 requests. Be added as co-hosts from Moneypenny and DJ Cheeses. do you guys want to actually join? I didn't see that. I apologize because I'm not. They change the version of stereo every single time, but you know what? We can add one of these guys on here. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, send a request, dude. Let's have a chat. Paul, with the follow-up.
January 6th, 2021. A date which will live in hyperbole.
Right.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was it was a major mistake on the people on the right's part, for sure, because it gave the people on the left things to talk about for a long time, even though Trump was gone. They can keep talking about January 6th.
Yeah, it was the one time that the leftists actually, were like, look it, see, we told you his words lead to violence. Look it, see, look. That was the one time that it actually led to something. So the leftists got it right on that one. Good job, you guys.
Yep. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if he's gonna request. Oh yeah, I think he got a question. Okay, let's add on Brandon. Let's see what he says.
What's up, Brandon?
He says, I talk politics, religion, and veganism. Brandon's coming
Oh,
live on
okay.
the first guest host on the show ever. Brandon Mize coming on right now. Let's do it. I approved him. I don't know what's gonna happen next because I've never done this before.
Yep, let's do this.
We're breaking ground on the Weekly Narrative podcast. What's up, Brandon? Can you hear us?
What's up, buddy?
can. How are you?
What's going on, man?
Awesome.
Doing
How are
well.
you doing?
Nice. I heard you guys say earlier, this was probably like 10 minutes ago, you said an us versus them an us versus them mentality is a feminist mentality or something like that. I didn't understand that.
Yeah. So one of the major themes we talk about on the show a lot is the hyperfeminization of society. And basically what I was getting at with that is the social aspect of how women interact. It's much more, let's say, for lack of a better word, catty with relationships between people. And they're much easier exploited when you want to try to split people apart, I would say. And we actually went over a study Tuesday. Saturday, on our last stream, that men are more likely to make up after a competition. So that's kind of, what we're referring to. The general trends of women to be more likely exploitable. They're more neurotic, emotionally speaking. So they're just overall easier to exploit in order to kind of split and divide a population.
Okay, so I guess I wouldn't consider that like an us versus them mentality, if that's what you're talking about. When I think of us versus them, I think of like you said, like hyper competition. It's my group versus theirs. And especially when we talk about in the sort of capitalist system we're in right now, it's mainly men who own these large corporations and men that are in government that are kind of using this sort of mentality to gain at the detriment of others. So that's why I was kind of confused when you said that, because I see an us versus them mentality. I don't necessarily see it as like a masculine or feminist thing, but I definitely see, it seems like men are at the top of that hierarchy there.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see why you think that, but the story we were referring to in that particular instance was the racism story. So we covered a race hoax, and basically what we see often in media is this continuation of a trend where they display these situations that are unfair for one particular party, and fairness is again a big thing that women and feminized psychology really hits on a lot. They tend to value fairness over meritocracy. So when they display these stories of racism or inequalities or things like that, at the root of it is always these feminist traits of fairness, equality, non-competition, things like that. So while I would agree with you that men do represent most of the leadership in society, it's beyond obvious that the media is making lots of money off of these psychologically divisive stories off of feminist psychology.
Okay, and I just to go back to like, I guess the fairness and egalitarianism, that sort of thing. Even if more women seem to be egalitarian and wanting fairness, do you think that is like a vice rather than a virtue?
It's good in certain cases, but to say that it's good across the board in all situations would be, I think, false. So fairness plays an important part when you're raising a family, raising children, things like that, in small communities. It doesn't necessarily work so well when you're trying to run a society that has 350 million people in it. So the problem with hyperfeminization of society is not so much that it exists, like there's hyperfeminized people out there, but that we try to implement that on a society-wide scale. It's never really going to work out well when you try to. That's when you get, socialism, redistribution of wealth, welfare programs, things like that. Those are the manifestations, essentially, of female psychology.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, whether it's female or male psychology, whatever you want to call it, I am on the left, so I'm for these sort of programs because I do think it produces better outcomes, especially when we look at the Scandinavian countries that seem to be doing much better than us when it comes to per capita wages, the worker happiness, things of this nature. We can look at their healthcare system. They seem to be doing better, and they redistribute more wealth. So why wouldn't we move towards that sort of society?
Yeah, so one of the common themes we talk about on this channel is the problem of scaling. And the most obvious difference between us and those Scandinavian countries is size. Not only size, but homogeneity of culture, of the people, and of the religion. So, as I mentioned with the 350 million thing, I'd say feminization or feminist psychology is not an issue necessarily. But at the scale of 350 million people across 50 states that all have separate governments and separate localities, it's not really implementable. That would be my argument.
Okay. Well, I think just to give that some pushback, I would just see it as like a math problem. At that point, we do have a lot more people than places like Norway, Sweden, these sort of countries. We have a bigger population than basically, I don't know about all of them combined, but most of them combined. So it would really just be a math problem of getting the tax policy correct and making sure that we are putting the correct policies in place to sort of do this. And I also don't know what you mean by homogeneity. I don't know if you mean like because they're mostly white people or they share a certain culture or whatever you may mean by that. I guess I don't know why that would play into why that would play into this sort of system. When we look at the system over there, it seems to work. Why it wouldn't work over here? Because like I said, it just seems like a math problem.
Right. Well, take, for example, Texas versus California. Those two places are completely on the two ends of spectrum, but you're trying to govern them from the same federal policy at an overlying federal level. It's not going to work the same way when you have a small country who all full of people who all believe the same exact things, who all want to go a certain direction. That's just a small example of what I mean with the homogeneity and why that's so important. But I'm a little confused as to what exactly you say. You're on the left and you like those policies and whatnot, but what policies? What are we talking about here exactly? Like welfare programs, redistribution of wealth, like healthcare. What are we talking?
Yeah, so I would push for like universal healthcare, large sectoral unions, co-determination policies, higher taxes, and just more social welfare like food stamps and welfare so people have their needs met.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the fundamental problem that I have with that, since I base all my viewpoints off of principles, is essentially coercion. If you're going to force me to pay for those things, then there's probably an issue. Now, voluntarily, we could contribute to other people's welfare. I think that's totally fine. But I think the problem right now is you got half the country who does not want to voluntarily or have their earnings involuntarily taken from them. So that's where the homogeneity comes in. You may have a group of people who all believe the same thing. They all think there's a national good to go towards one certain direction with policy, and they have no problem spending 70% of their taxes for that kind of stuff. But in America, you're never going to get to a point to where the vast majority of people are going to be in favor of giving their taxes. So you're always going to be essentially stealing from half the country.
Okay, because I understand that sounds like a libertarian principle. Like, I don't know if you think taxation is theft. I don't want to put that burden on you, but I guess I could just say that because I hear this a lot. I could just say, well, it is voluntary. You choose to stay in that country, don't you?
You mean paying taxes is voluntary? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, I would strongly agree with your point there, and that's one of the things that confuses me the most about leftism today in America is that if there are better countries that are displaying your model, why are you so intent on changing the model in America from a way that it's been for hundreds of years into a model that you like that's already in the works somewhere else?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily make the argument that like people can just move to wherever they want. I was just kind of throwing that at you because I know libertarians.
I think they can, can't they?
I know. I'm sorry?
They have freedom of movement, right? They can move to the state that fits their political ideology better. They could move to a country that fits their political ideology better. There's kind of I'd see it as an authoritarian tendency to try and impose your personal will upon everybody else that you're living with, whether it's in the same state or the same country. It's a little strange to me. And the analogy that I use, because we talk about this on the stream all the time, is that you're in a Best Buy and you're upset that they don't sell bathtubs while there's a bathtub store next door. And instead of going next door to buy the bathtub, you protest the Best Buy and essentially burn it down to the ground because you're angry that they don't sell the product that you want while it's readily available somewhere else.
Well, because I think this might be what you advocate for, unless you're advocating for everybody to just live out in the woods somewhere. I think there's always going to be some sort of force in politics. That's basically what politics is. It's about power and, I guess, convincing people of your ideals. So I think when it comes to like moving to a different state, some people can do that, but I would just make the argument that's very hard for most people just because of the sort of, how should I put this? Socioeconomic conditions that a lot of people live under. I think like 50% of Americans make $30,000 or less. 70 to 80%, I believe, live paycheck to paycheck. Or no, that's not the number. It's that they can't afford a $500 to $1,000 emergency. So for most people, they actually can't move. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is voluntary, but like I said, I don't know if you use these libertarian principles to where a voluntary that these sort of transactions are voluntary. That's why I brought up the point, like if you do use that as a sort of principle that you can just move, or you don't have to work at that job. You can always just go to another job. Well, if you're going to say it's coercion that the state is putting these taxes on you, well, I know you're not a libertarian, you call yourself an all-centrist, but it's the same sort of principle. Why wouldn't it be voluntary to just move and not be under the jurisdiction of that state? So that's why I brought that up.
Okay, sure, yeah. Well, I think we have to delineate here between the ability to move and the freedom to move. You have the freedom to move. Nobody's going to stop you from moving to any country you want. Now, whether you have the ability or not is not somebody else's problem. We're not doing positive freedoms here. That's not what this is about. Now, that's what we're trending towards. We're trending towards positive freedoms where everybody has the right to somebody else's labor via healthcare, or everybody else has the right to, an income despite not having to work or whatever it is. But whether or not you have the ability to move is, in my eyes, irrelevant because you have the freedom to do so. You have to work to get there.
Okay. See, and this is where I disagree with a lot of people on the right when it comes to like the definition of freedom. When I think of a freedom, you brought up like negative and positive rights. When I think of a freedom, I think of the ability to have like access to something. And if people don't have the ability to move, they wouldn't have access to move at that point. So I would just disagree with that definition of freedom at that point.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think if we're sticking to principles, that would be the eternal disagreement at that point, where you want to, and I can see why you get to ideas or beliefs like we should tax people to allow others to afford this and this. If you think that freedom means you should have the ability to do things, even though you can't necessarily do it on your own. But that's, I think that's just going to be an eternal disagreement that won't be resolved. Those are just two systems that will have to be fleshed out and let the universe decide.
Yeah, and you can kick me off whenever you want. And this is it really does come down to like fundamental axioms and what we value. for the most part, I'm not like a hardcore consequentialist, but I really do focus on the outcomes. That's why I really like the Scandinavian models. They seem to produce the best outcomes for the most amount of people. But people on the right they usually take this sort of rule-based or principled approach that these are our base axioms and we don't necessarily look at the outcomes. They may argue that these will cause better outcomes, but that's not it doesn't play into the equation at that point. For some it does, but for a lot of people it's just like this is the principle, and the consequences doesn't matter because it's a rule-based ethic. And I think that's where a lot of the disagreement comes between the left and the right. The left seems to look at the consequences for the most part. So, like I'm not a complete consequentialist. Like if we go back to the trolley problem, I might just let the 5 people die, you know? But yeah, I think it really does just come down to like difference in fundamental values at that point.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And just to wrap it up, I'll tell you what my axiom is. My axiom is what I refer to as the truth, which is nature. This is if society were to be destroyed and we to go back to nature. I think what's happening with modern life and society is we've gotten too comfortable, we've gotten too soft. People are forgetting what reality really is without the soft, warm blanket of society to prop them up, to stop them from failing, to cover up their physical and mental deformities, to allow them to achieve things and perform where they would not otherwise if we were living under natural selection forces. So my axiom is nature, and it's completely unnatural to say that the guy who doesn't have 2 legs should be able to run as fast as the guy that has 2 legs. He should be able to outrun the predator just as equally.
All right. And I would just say my axiom is increasing the well-being for as many people as possible. That's the general axiom. Like I said, there are some rights that I think would override that in certain situations. But yeah, and I appreciate you having me on, though.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good discussion because we just boiled down right there the exact thing that we're talking about on the stream, which is the masculine mindset versus the feminine mindset. You are in the feminine mindset of fairness, trying to lift up everybody. I'm in the competitive mindset, meritocracy, where the strong survive. And we just laid it out for everybody right there in a civil manner.
I would just disagree with that framing, but yeah, sure. I hope we can do this again. I know you guys talk about like racial issues and that sort of stuff. And I don't know what you guys think about trans people and if being trans entails a delusion or anything like that, but I would love to talk to you guys about that sometime.
Yeah, man, stick around. We talk about all that kind of stuff for sure. Thanks for coming on, man.
Cool. Likewise. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, good. I was going to say, I don't know how to remove him, so hopefully he left on his own. But see, there you go. I mean, a pretty good discussion. Now, here's the question, though. Why would you disagree that that's a feminine mindset? It's almost as if there's some kind of negative connotation to that being the negative, a feminine thing. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with saying that you have a feminine mindset? Is it just because you're a man? But I mean, the science is well established. It even goes across multiple animal species that women in general do always tend to favor fairness, equality.
I mean, I was just enjoying watching you two discuss things, as men, and I was just listening to some of the points that he was trying to make, and I wanted to inject and try to explain to him that yes, the Scandinavian model, they do preach about fairness and equality and more women in the workforce and equality and all this stuff, but if they're doing so well, why is their suicide rate so stinking high still? Like, it's like worldwide, like one of the number one countries that has the most suicides. Why are women reporting in those countries that they're still unhappy even though they have all this equality and all this fairness? And another thing about the Scandinavian model, they're actually, when it comes to their economy, they're more free market and capitalistic than we are here in America. They let companies and let people run their companies as they see fit with little regulation as possible. Yep. So
Well, I don't want to.
I get where he's coming from when it comes to the his feminine mind is wanting fairness and equality, but it's to try to tell and convince me that Scandinavia and Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Finland, all these countries are doing so well when it comes to that. It's kind of a dead argument to me.
Yeah, and I don't want to take post debate shots at the guy, but the idea isn't necessarily his. This is something we've heard a million times. Where the inconsistency between claiming that there's too many men in leadership in America, but then also pointing out Scandinavia, the country where they've done more, legislatively speaking, to have equality in the job market, and yet there is no greater example of gender disparity in the occupations there, where all the women are nurses, for example. It's the gender disparity plays out greater in societies that have done more, legislatively speaking, to equitize their society, and that's completely inconsistent with the point that there's too many men in leadership, because guess what? That's where the men want to be, man. Women don't want to be in CEO positions. And that's how it plays out. It's not because some kind of invisible glass ceiling is oppressing them. When you give them the freedom to choose, they will choose things that they want to do, and that's often not CEOs.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got DJ Cheeses. We got a few stereo chats. We'll burn through these. I mean, I like the discussion. I don't even have to talk about any more of these stories. Let's go through the discussion, see where this goes.
I didn't mean to put in a request for a co-host. I'm not worthy to debate you. I'm not worthy, man.
No, man, you don't even have to debate, man. Just like listening to you, man. It's great to just have discussions with other people.
Comedic
it's awesome.
relief. Anything.
That's why we. That's why we do this. Is we want to be able to have these discussions with people, even people we agree with, people we disagree with.
Bill had a funny chat. And YouTube, he says, "What happens to this guy when society gets stripped away?"
Yeah,
and that's really the question.
I don't think he's really thought about that either.
And that's why I've concluded that nature is my axiom, because that is the one universal constant that will never ever, number one, change, or number two, go away. It will always be there. You can never escape it. You cannot outlaw nature. You cannot outlaw biology. You cannot outlaw our natural tendencies. You cannot outlaw our evolution. It is always there, underlying everything. And to try to legislate things that go directly against those, I would say, is ill-advised. Let's see here. Oops. Isaac.
Why would socialism be a manifestation of feminization? The real question, the real problem that you're gonna have here is trying to defend a point that is divorced of reality. Like, you can't really make the connection without citations to some kind of correlative effect in the real political economy. Like, you just sound like you're trying to equivocate like things, and it just not really surmounting to a good argument. But maybe you can clarify yourself.
That's a lot of big words. I don't think he understands what most of them mean, but...
Well, let's not take any pot shots immediately. In a nutshell, what we're looking at is psychology, okay? Individual psychology of men versus women. What kind of traits, what kind of personality traits are more manifested in women versus men? For instance, we know that before women and men are even socialized, when they're young children, young infants, babies, before they're even socialized, before any kind of outside influence can affect them, we know that young females are more interested in pictures of other people, and young men are more interested in toys, which suggests that they're more interested in objects, things. That's just a kind of an elementary example. If you're unfamiliar with the psychology and the studies, just an elementary example of how psychology manifests in the genders. We know that women prioritize things like fairness, equality. We know that men prioritize things like meritocracy and competition and survival of the fittest, things like that. So I want to make sure we're not getting confused here. I'm not saying feminization is bad. I'm saying that we need balance, and we are currently in a state of hyperfeminization, where we are emphasizing the redistribution of wealth, equality, fairness. All the narratives are about fairness. That's underlying everything. Black Lives Matter, the government. Every single story today is undergirded by the concept of fairness, and that is an inherently feminine psychological trait. We got Kizza with a chat.
On Scandinavia, they are not very socialist. They're actually the most capitalist countries when it comes to economic freedom. The reason that they have such high wages per capita and so on and so forth is because they don't have things like minimum wages for the most part, along with having high homogeny, high unionization, among other things. This is just lies that you hear about in America, who do not understand the true nature of what goes on in Europe.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kizza, for saying that, because that's all I could think of when he was talking about Scandinavia. It's like, have you been there? Have you talked to people who are from Europe who are from these countries? Because if you do, they will tell you that all of the stuff that guy, the talking points that guy tried to bring up were all like basically lies.
I also think it's funny. I want to point out that the examples that people always give for countries that are doing better than America are always countries that are like 98% white. Just maybe a coincidence. I just wanted to point that out. Let's see here. Synergy says, look up the Real Political Spectrum Explained on YouTube. Yeah, check that out. A lot of the political spectrum is also contradictory and doesn't make sense the way people understand it. Wow, this guy is exactly correct. And that's why we use the alt-centrist spectrum. It is not a left-to-right spectrum. And you'll learn more about the alt-centrist spectrum as you listen to the show. Let's go to the next chat here. Paul.
No, I can't interject in this in real time, but Brandon and Kizza actually got me to think about saying this. Got to dispel this idea that America is like the most capitalist, non-redistributionist place in the world. It is extremely that. You got temporary assistance for needy families, Medicaid and child's health insurance programs, supplemental nutrition assistance program, or SNAP, or food stamps, supplemental security income for low-income people with disabilities, earned income tax credit, although taxation is theft anyway, housing assistance. Those are all, that's all welfare, entitlements, Social Security, and Medicare. Anyone can get access to credit for, $100,000 in higher education. The military-industrial complex is basically subsidized a huge fraction of the economy. Farms that's why I have all the high fructose corn syrup. And the government is huge, and paying all those people is a huge part of the economy. Real capitalism hasn't been tried, is my argument.
It's accurate. We do not have capitalism in America today. This is not capitalism, which is it's a common trap that people fall into when they're trying to make arguments against capitalism, is that they compare other countries to America. And as you rightly pointed out, much better than I could have, we do not live in a capitalist society. I wish we did. I think that'd be pretty cool. You can recreate it on a small scale, but again, this comes back to the issue of scaling. Can you ever have a truly capitalist society at this scale? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, no. They're for people like Mr. Brandon, who's kind of hyper feminized. With capitalism, the weak fall and the strong prevail. The people with good ideas win, and the people with terrible ideas don't win, and that's not good enough. He wants everybody to win and everybody to be successful and everybody to be equal, when that's just in a country that has 350 million people, that's just too big a scale to try to get everybody to win.
Yep. No. Well said. Well said indeed. Isaac's got a follow up here.
I love the new theory that you guys made up called his feminine mind. The delusion to believe that actually means anything.
I think he's in that mindset too.
Probably is. Yes. But hey, you know what? We're not here to save people. Okay, we're not here to get these people to suck the red pill down. We're here to observe them as if they are in a zoo, and then react accordingly to our own best interests. Let's see. But he's free to rebut anytime he wants. He hasn't responded since I answered his previous question. Let's see. Synergy says we're an oligarchy with capitalist traits, not unlike the PRC, which is horrifying. Yeah. Let's see. Taxation is theft. Well, you know what? I think the government does have a role, and not all taxation is theft. I think the government does have a small role, but the problem is that has been completely blown out of scale. I think once you have a society this big, the government does have a role, but it's not to give you health care. It's not to give you cell phones. It's not to pay for your education. It's very minimalistic. And you know what's funny? As I got an achievement today. I want to share this with you guys. I achieved something that I've been not necessarily striving for, but it's one of those things when you're playing a game and then you get an achievement you didn't really know existed, but after you got it, you're like, oh yeah, that was cool. Sean King replied to me on Twitter today, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Sean King replied to me directly on Twitter
X
today.
Got you?
Talcum X replied to me on Twitter, yes. And it's on this exact line of reasoning, because he wrote an article about why we should defund the police because only 2% of crimes go solved and that we're wasting all of our money on policing. Now, just let that sink in for a second. Okay. He's arguing. Now, here's what's happening. It's a short-sighted argument. These people have no ability to delay gratification. So he's falling for a short-sighted attack on the police by sacrificing the principle that giving money to the government is a good thing. Because the real reality underneath his argument that the police are inefficient, which I actually agree with, is that the government is absolutely terrible at doing anything at all. And policing is just one example of that. Solving crimes is one example of that. But yet, despite the fact that he will openly claim that the government is widely inefficient at the thing that he likes, he'll advocate for something like socialized healthcare or single-payer healthcare on the other hand, which, again, if you've already sacrificed the idea that the government is efficient at doing anything, why would you at the same time advocate for giving them more power and money to cover things like your health care? So this is a question of what the role of the government is. And I think I actually agree with Sean King that the government is terrible at doing everything, including solving crimes and policing, and that there are better solutions available for that. So I thought that was funny.
So let's just get rid of the police, and then we just solve no crimes, nothing. We'll just let it be Mad Max up in this bitch. I'm ready.
Yeah, well, of course that wouldn't be actually what would happen. There would be privatized security everywhere, and it's the same thing with any other issue that you want to hand off to the government. It's always going to be handled better at a private level. If not, it could be handled at a state level. If not, at a county level, et cetera, as you go down the line. But there's really nothing aside from military protection that should be handled at the federal level. That would be my argument. And if you have a counter argument to that, just tell me one thing that the government does more efficiently than the private sector, and I will be inclined to agree with you, because I really, at the end of the day, I just want the most efficient solution. I'm not here just to be like, oh no, the government can't do anything. If they can do something better, then let's let them do it. But I haven't seen any examples of that happening yet. I'm still waiting for my tax return from 3 months ago, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I'm waiting for which county-run hospitals do a better job at your healthcare than a privately run hospital, or if you have insurance, and it's not subsidized by the California state government or your local government. Which one works better? Your county insurance or your private insurance? Which one gives you better healthcare, more effective, more streamlined healthcare?
Yeah, well, we did just cover a story about how Alameda County in California had to revisit their COVID criteria because they miscounted their COVID deaths by 25%. So there's an example right there for you of a state-run system that's completely incompetent. Let's see. We had Kira says in this YouTube chat, honestly, if I had a choice, I'd privatize the motorways. Call it the McChicken motorway. Make them pay for
McDonald's
upkeep.
McDonald's proudly sponsors this highway stretch.
Yep. Well, it's hard to see how it would be done when you've never seen it done before. But let me tell you, necessity is the mother of invention. It would get done. Q Jar says, get rid of the police, send in social workers. Social workers start getting into violent situations, start arming social workers, recreate the police. Yeah, yep. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I'm all for it. Yep, let's just send in the social workers, and that'll solve all the problems. All the homeless people living on the streets in LA County and causing all kinds of havoc, send in social workers to help them, because social workers can help people that are have mental illness and drug addiction.
Yeah, those guys that are in the midst of a PCP trip and they're violent and naked, spitting on people that the news reports as a mental health crisis. Those are what they want to be covered by social workers. And good luck sending in a social worker who's probably obese with purple hair, just graduated fresh out of college, and she's gonna handle the guy that's high on PCP. Yep. Okay. Cool. Can't wait to see that. Just televise it, please. At least so we're entertained. That's all I ask.
Yep. Post it to Street Peoples of Los Angeles on Instagram, please.
All right, we got Kizzo with the chat here.
I'll tell you that, Jeremy. What the government's better than the private sector at? Wasting my taxpayers' money.
Hell yeah. Here.
Yep. That would seem to be true. Osis.
Damn well Alameda County did not miscount due to incompetence. That was a willful, purposeful thing that they did.
I'm making the argument in good faith.
Get rid of the orange man, just like a lot of these piece of shit politicians on blue states.
I'm making an argument in good faith, though, just because that's what these leftists do. They'll just cry that you're not arguing in good faith, and then that's why they stop talking to you, because they think that any chance they get to say you're not arguing in good faith, they'll just take it and as like a get out of jail free card. So I'm being generous, but you're probably correct. Let's see here. We're at 9:00. We made it 2 hours.
Yep, we are.
Let me go to the YouTube chat, make sure I didn't miss anything good here, and then we'll wrap up the show here. Bill says, steal your money. They are great at that. Yes, that's for sure. Synergy points out that South Africa, the capital Johannesburg, has the most private security per capita in the world. Yep.
Yeah, because their police force doesn't do their job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, police are probably highly corrupt, and you can't rely on them to do anything. Hence the necessity for the invention of private security, hence the phrase, necessity is the mother of invention. Let's see. All gaps will be filled. Later, Dari. Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
Yep.
Social worker could totally stop the guy on the bike in Walgreens loading up his trash bag. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see that, Delaney? That video?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that was good.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
And what's great about that video is that there was a private security officer there just sitting there on his phone filming him, not even like doing his job, not doing anything. It's like, okay, even private security is like not going to do anything.
No, that is the end result of, you don't want to over incarcerate people because you think there's, again, the impetus, the source that the problem you're trying to solve is what? It's an inequality in the representation of prison populations. You look at the numbers, you say, oh my God, there's so many black people in jail. So you do things like change the misdemeanor laws so that people can go steal things out of the stores and not get arrested. And now you have videos of people literally just filling trash bags full of merchandise and walking out of the stores without any intervention from the police, law enforcement, or anything at all. And that's, of course, resulting in several stores closing, economies crumbling, communities being destroyed. No more Walgreens in San Francisco. Let's say that for sure. Okay, Kizzo's got two comments to close us out here. Kizzo, they better be good.
Two last questions. One, when can I go co-host sometime? And secondly, for Delaney, when are you going to get on Telegram more?
The only one I heard was, when are you going to get a Telegram, Delaney? The rest sounded like you're on a subway or something.
I do have Telegram. I just don't know how to use it. To be honest, I really don't know how to use it. Like,
Boomer tech.
I only got it because a friend of mine was like she got like banned off of Instagram, because that's how I met her, was through Instagram, and she got banned off of Instagram, and so she moved to Telegram, and she's like, get on Telegram so I could send you stuff, and I was like, oh god. And then I tried to use it. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, okay, like I just look at the stuff she sends me, and that's it.
Oh man. Okay, so we got Matt says Kizza is skydiving. Q Jar says this guy's in the trolley. And Synergy says Kizza is now re-entering the Earth's atmosphere in his F-150.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like it's like a motorcycle muffler going or something.
Sounds like is he in Jeff Bezos' new rocket doing the test flight and everything's like shaking on the inside? That's what. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. He's got one more chat here, and then we'll do the.
Yeah, believe it or not, South Africa is the number one capital for rape, for crimes like such as rape. So it's not exactly a good model to look at. It's a pure dystopia.
I think he's discrediting the efficacy of police and security in South Africa because there's a lot of rapes and stuff.
We didn't say that their security force is good. We just said that they had one of the largest security forces. So we're not saying they're good. We're not saying they're doing a good job. We're just saying that it's there because there's so much crime that the police don't even like do their jobs, or they can't do their jobs, or there's not enough people that actually like want to do good and follow the laws and do what they're supposed to, that they have to like hire them and pay them decent in order for them to like actually want to do something about it.
You know, I will say, just to end out the show on a good note, an interesting note anyway, there was a video, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, there was a video circulating from South Africa of a bank transit security team.
Oh, I saw that.
That
was sick.
This is crazy. So we'll end it out on the on a good note here of the footage from this security team in South Africa eluding would-be robbers attempting to hijack this security truck in transit. There was a camera capturing all the action from inside the car, and if you guys didn't see this, it's pretty wild. It's like straight out of a movie type of thing. So it's a short little clip. We'll show you.
You are seeing what you're hearing them being shot at. This is in South Africa. Driver and his partner in this armored vehicle. This goes on for several minutes. You see the glass shatter. The bulletproof glass does hold up. The rifle comes out eventually, and the driver actually gets ahead of the robbers, stops, gets out with the rifle, and waits on them. Now, the would-be robber...
In the video, they cut through it pretty quick, which is nice because we're wrapping it up, but you can see the guns hitting the window, which would have gone right into the guy if there wasn't a bulletproof window there. You know what I mean? And he rams into the car, and he tries to he does like these turnaround. Anyway, it's pretty wild, and I mean that's what's going on in places like South Africa, and that's the kind of stuff you're going to start to see if they really want to get rid of the police. You'll see private security forces pulling off this kind of stuff in America, I think.
And I just love how calm they are throughout this whole thing. They're not screaming and yelling. They're not like getting all emotional. They're just like handling business. The black dude's getting his gun ready. The white dude's just driving, and the white dude's just like driving and doing his thing. They're not like screaming and yelling like little girls. They're actually like doing their job and just keeping calm and handling business.
The driver, he was totally calm, and he tells the passenger, he's like, call Louis, let him know.
Yeah, and the guy's like on the phone, like calmly on the phone.
We're getting shot at and rammed into on the street in transit in this truck with cash. But you know what, Delaney? Women should be able to do that too.
Oh, I mean, women could if we like got our emotions in check and like learned how to drive better. But you know what? It won't happen.
I'll believe it when I see it. When I see women doing that, I will say, you know what? Yep, let's do it. Let's do 50-50 equality across the board. But I don't think I will ever see that. So,
yeah, you're not going to see that.
With that said, folks, we're going to wrap up the show tonight. It was a good one. I love the stereo chat. That was cool. We'll try to do a little bit more of that in the future. We do go live every Tuesday and Saturday, 7 p.m. PST on YouTube and stereo. We're going to be hanging out with Bill from All Minus One on his stream, The Ends Justify the Memes, tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, I believe. If you're still in chat, feel free to correct me, but I think that's what it's going to be. So check out the YouTube channel, The Ends Justify the Memes. We will be hanging out over there tomorrow. So,
yep.
That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Appreciate you guys' participation in chat as always. And Zen says, really great show tonight. Thank you. Yeah, that video was nuts. Agreed. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow or on Saturday. Oh, also, Delaney, you're not going to be here on Saturday. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm going to be on vacation with my family on Saturday all weekend, so I'm not going to be here. Sorry, folks. So that's why you should watch Bill's stream tomorrow, so you can get your fill of me and get your fill of me for the missed Saturday show.
All right, sounds good. And we'll give the last word to Kizza. Hopefully, he'll redeem himself with a non-trolley audio clip.
I'm just heading to work. Delaney, Telegram is just like WhatsApp, except has nothing to do with Facebook. And yeah, that's just about it. Please get on more.
Perfect.
I don't use WhatsApp. I don't know what any of this crap is.
Well,
I'm old school.
You know what you can do instead, Delaney? And thank you for ending that on that note, Kizza, because I got to shill my own Telegram that is in the description of the channel. If you guys want to join my Telegram, it's there. We can chat and share stories and whatnot. I'll give you notifications and things like that. But that is good backup to communicate with me directly. My Telegram is in the description. With that, we will see you tomorrow or Saturday.
All right.
Have a good night, folks.
All right, folks. Good. Have a good night. Night, night.